Have you ever booted up The Sims 4 and sat at the menu screen trying to decide what to do? Have you gotten stuck in The Sims 4's build mode, trying to find a normal-looking fence or window? How about the realization that no matter their traits, your Sims will always want to buy a B-Box or run to the nearest computer on the lot? Although veteran Simmers have continued playing The Sims 1, 2, and 3, new players now more than ever are jumping back into the golden age of The Sims. Someday soon, The Sims 4 will join its brethren in the group of retro Sims games. But how does it look next to the games we know and love? Well, let's find out. What's up guys, Rakowski here, and today we are going to count down the top 10 reasons why The Sims 3 is superior to The Sims 4. This video is designed to illustrate specific strengths and weaknesses of The Sims 3 and 4 respectively. However, many of these points involve subjective opinion, so if you prefer The Sims 4, that is perfectly okay. Despite some bias, The Sims 4 is not a terrible game. It just lacks many of the features and details that retro Simmers expect from the Sims franchise. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Number 1. Worlds. The very definition of what makes a Sims world or neighborhood is vastly different between each and every Sims game, and The Sims 3 and 4 are no exception. In The Sims 4, you are given as little as 4 or 5 lots to build on, with no flexibility to customize the world in any meaningful way. However, a Sims 3 world includes up to 100 lots per world, with full freedom to move and add lots nearly anywhere you'd like. All this extra space and freedom in The Sims 3 is complemented with an open world system. You are able to play all of your Sims concurrently, even if one of them is at the library and the other two are at home. With roughly 25 households per world, The Sims 4 usually only includes 2 or 3, you can see other Sims around you living their daily life. Something as simple as going to the grocery store can be exciting, seeing your fellow townies fighting or making out in the streets. Come to think of it, you can't even go grocery shopping in The Sims 4. And if you did, 10 random townies from 8 different expansion packs would spawn in a clump, swaying back and forth before immediately running to the nearest PC on the lot. Despite their expansive nature, worlds in The Sims 3 are easier to manage when it comes to continuity and storylines, as each world is closed off from the others. Other than vacation worlds, the future, and university, each save file is limited to the world that you've chosen, so you won't have random townies from Sunlit Tide spawning at the Sunset Valley Spa. As a final note, The Sims 3 worlds are absolutely stunning, each with their own style and aesthetic. There are many great base game worlds to choose from, and many expansion packs also include their own mini-universe. Oh, and let's not forget that The Sims 3 open world goes great with the cars that we got in the base game. As of the time of this video, The Sims 4 still does not have vehicles that don't involve going to Sixam, skiing, or Batu. Number 2. Create a style. Have you ever tried building a house in The Sims 4 but couldn't find a floor or wall to go with the furniture you've selected? Or how about struggled to find a pretty white window without the Seasons expansion pack installed? With its Create a Style tool, this problem does not exist in The Sims 3, as you can customize the color and texture of nearly everything in the game. But for the most part, in The Sims 3, you can make the base game furniture look mostly just the way you like. This freedom is not just limited to build and buy mode either, for the infamous color wheel can be used in Create a Sim as well. No longer will your berry Sims be limited to the ugly default hues of The Sims 4. The ability to customize and tweak your Sim's hair and skin color ensures that you precisely get your Sim looking exactly as you envisioned. The skin tone update for The Sims 4 tragically proves to be too little too late, and half of the swatches often appear as unhealthy or alien-like. The cool skin tones are particularly bizarre and unsettling. Number 3. Wants. One of the most striking differences between The Sims 3 and Sims 4 is their inherent nature and direction of the game. Lacking fleshed out personalities, Sims 4 Sims are meant to be played in a more open-ended way, allowing you to choose the direction and goals for your Sim's life. However, this can become monotonous and boring after a long time of playing the game. But in The Sims 3, each Sim has its own distinct personality, complete with a singular lifelong goal to achieve, as well as small desires appropriate for your Sim's life and personality. The wants provide a goal and objective-based style of gameplay, which makes the game feel more like an actual challenge, since not every want is easy to achieve. Also, for the lifetime wants, there are often several strategies and methods you can use to achieve even the more straightforward options. You can develop your Sims skills and progress through careers in several different ways. Your Sims will also roll small wants that are appropriate for their goals or are related to their personality in other ways, so each Sim ends up with a completely different set of objectives, giving you a lot more to do and providing inspiration for continued gameplay. On the other hand, the aspirations for The Sims 4 require specific objectives to progress, and on top of that, they conceptually come across as a tutorial for certain aspects of the game, like an expansion pack, instead of actually adding to your Sim's personality. Number 4, traits. Despite both games having a comparable trait system on the surface, there is very little in common between the two systems. To start, The Sims 3 simply has many more options for traits and personality customization in general. You get up to 5 traits per Sim, and you have 63 base game traits to choose from, 99 if you have all the DLC installed. These traits affect a Sim's everyday behavior, their wants, how they react to certain situations, even trait-specific item and social interactions, such as taking an evil shower. Tragically, The Sims 4 once again falls short in this aspect. You can only have 3 traits per Sim, and unfortunately, these traits are almost exclusively tied to the emotion system in The Sims 4. That means your Sims will only be affected with plus and minus emotion buffs for most traits, which are, quite frankly, easily cancelled out by proximity to an expensive painting. Also, there are far less to choose from, around half as much as The Sims 3, especially if you just have The Sims 4 base game, your trait options are going to be limited as well. Number 5, graphics. Although this point on our list is arguably the most subjective, the graphics in The Sims 3 may not be as pretty as The Sims 4, but they are based in realism and are more cohesive with the Sims franchise. The cartoon-like art style of The Sims 4 is bright, colorful, and a little shallow, much like the game itself. The Sims 3 is often criticized for its ugly, potato-faced Sims, but real-life people aren't plastic dolls. Most people have something ugly about their face, I know I do, and that's kind of how we get different types of beauty and individuality. Despite their homeliness, the facial expressions and subtle body language just come together to make Sims 3 Sims feel more alive. Oh, and let's admit, there's nothing more heartwarming than a grandchild inheriting Vita Alto's relentless facial features. Conversely, the animated poses in The Sims 4 are goofy, quirky, and melodramatic, which is great for a giggle, but it also causes them to become repetitive very quickly. When it comes to build mode, the difference of style direction is even more apparent. The Sims 4 is again bright, cartoonish, and almost reads as a pop-up storybook starring Eliza Pancakes. But good luck finding a normal-looking backyard fence for your 50th suburban home you just built. As a side note, if you find The Sims 3 a little dark and dreary for your taste, don't forget to install a lighting mod. They really make all the difference. Some of the best options available come from a creator known as brntwaffles. A couple of their best work will be linked in the description below, including the one used to capture the gameplay footage for this video. My suggestion is to try out the frozen lighting mod if you want to add a dash of The Sims 4's brightness and saturation. Number 6, expansion packs. You may have heard about certain iconic Sims 3 expansion packs from the past, especially when compared to releases for The Sims 4. Time after time, though, Simmers have been disappointed by the releases in the most recent game. Many Sims 4 expansion packs are beautiful, but once again, often lacking in gameplay assets. On the other hand, The Sims 3 arguably has the most fleshed out expansion packs of any game in the franchise. Each expansion pack gives you a ridiculous amount of content and many new things for your Sims to do, and they all tie into the main theme of the expansion pack. You may know about the Supernatural expansion pack, which gives you a gorgeous new world rich with lore, several fully fleshed out occult systems, iconic build-buy items, and gameplay objects. I could really go on and on. Sims 4 expansion packs, unfortunately, feel like watered-down versions of Sims packs from previous games, often requiring more than one expansion pack to fully flesh out a certain aspect of the game. That's not to say that The Sims 4 doesn't add good things to the game, it's just usually in the base game updates, especially lately, and not the actual pack itself, such as when they added toddlers or platforms to build mode. They had packs associated with these updates, but they weren't nearly as detailed as they could have been. Another point to note is that several Sims 4 expansion packs feel necessary for the base game to even have any detail or substance, whereas with The Sims 3, if a particular expansion pack doesn't appeal to you, then you aren't really missing out on anything. Number 7. Careers. Perhaps a more obscure and controversial point, but The Sims 3 has arguably the best career system in the franchise as well. Ever since The Sims 1, every game has basic off-the-lot or rabbit hole style careers for the most part, where your sim leaves home to go work their scheduled hours. There are always several avenues in which you can pursue progress, such as sucking up to your boss, working extra hours, or actually progressing in your skill set. All other games, including The Sims 4, however, treat jobs and career progression much more like a checklist. You need to get certain skills to certain levels to progress. But in The Sims 3, you can have a lazy sim like Dina Caliente simply schmooze and flirt with her boss in lieu of doing any actual work on herself. Now, to complement a previous point, both The Sims 3 and Sims 4 released career-based expansion packs early into their lifespan. In case you're wondering, is Sims 3 Ambitions reign superior? Not only does it have a lot more careers for you to choose from, but they are more fleshed out and integrated with your immersive open world. In fact, you can work as an architect and redesign the homes of your neighbors as well, which is another game pack if you want this career in The Sims 4. And yes, The Sims 3 Architect is still better than The Sims 4 Dream Decorator. Number 8. Family gameplay. Perhaps due to an amalgamation of our previous points, The Sims 3 once again rises above when it comes to family-based gameplay. Up to this point, this video has focused more on highlighting the strengths of The Sims 3. However, for this aspect, it's much more impactful to recognize The Sims 4's weaknesses in this department. To get the obvious facts out of the way, at the point of this video's release, The Sims 4 still doesn't really have babies, forever bound to their ugly middle-class bassinet. They recently announced plans on adding an infant life stage to The Sims 4, so you can expect a bug-ridden, game-breaking update in about 2 to 4 business years. Let's also not forget it took years for us to even get toddlers in the base game, but at least we got them eventually with a matching stuff pack. One of the main core issues with family gameplay in The Sims 4 is the lack of differentiation between 4 consecutive life stages. Teens, young adults, adults, and elders are pretty much exactly the same. Teens are perhaps the most unique. The release of the High School Years expansion pack at least gave them some things to do, but it still doesn't work properly, and the fact that they only have 2 traits instead of 3. Whoopee. Visually, it's near impossible to tell the difference between teens and mature adults. Whereas elders have a slightly different posture, there is very little difference between Sims of different ages, eliminating the appeal of playing a family. One thing to note is that the Generations expansion pack in The Sims 3 gives Sims of every life stage new things to do, achieve, and regret. Admittedly, The Sims 3's base game system isn't amazing for family gameplay. The Sims 2 seems to have nailed this for the most part, but this expansion pack fills in many of the gaps Simmers were looking for. Of course, The Sims 4 did a Parenthood game pack, which is arguably one of the best Sims 4 game packs released. At least it works and has cute kitchen items, right? However, again, this pack focuses on the action of the parent, i.e. the young adult, i.e. the only life stage that matters in The Sims 4. It doesn't enhance the lives really of the actual children, not until they're adults anyway, but it gives parents the opportunity to traumatize their offspring, cursing them with negative, permanent traits that will carry with them for the rest of their hollow existence. Number 9. Mods. Before we get into this next point, it's important to note that the Sims 4 mod community has done some unimaginably amazing things for the game. However, it seems that the best mods for the game involve correcting, fixing, or altering something that EA has either ignored or half-assed. Mods like Wicked and Wonderful Whims, Meaningful Stories, and the like give Sims and gameplay some much-needed fleshing out. But when you look at the best mods for The Sims 3, they're usually designed around enhancing the existing game and allowing for player-focused customization. There are a variety of mods from NROS that do just that. You can choose from a near limitless list of settings, such as disabling paparazzi, stopping neighbors from adopting pets, changing pregnancy duration or maternity leave, and adjusting the salaries of your Sims or price of store-bought items like groceries and books. In the name of fairness, note that one of the main weaknesses of The Sims 3 is its inability to run perfectly smooth. But of course, there are a few simple mods that can fix most of these problems, especially when it comes to create a style or island paradise lag. But for the most part, the core gameplay usually stays true to its original style, even with mods. Number 10. Lore. One of the main aspects of the Sims franchise that has been largely neglected during The Sims 4's lifespan is the lore of the Sims that come with the game. We already discussed the massive open worlds that The Sims 3 has to offer, each with several dozen Sims to play. Not only does The Sims 3 remain on the same timeline, for the most part, as The Sims 1 and 2 games, it also fleshes out the history and prior relationships in The Sims living near one another. Although it's not a fan favorite, Starlight Shores is a great world for this. The drama hiding in the relationships panel is extensive and ready to be explored. Some Sims have several enemies, so even if you don't play them, you'll see them getting into arguments and fights as you calmly shop for groceries for your Legacy Challenge family. Conversely, The Sims 4 lore is nearly non-existent, despite adding such a small number of townies and Sims to each neighborhood. To start, EA created an alternate timeline for The Sims 4, which basically means EA couldn't be bothered. But perhaps the worst part about the lack of lore is their complete disregard for prior relationships. Why don't the Goths and the Spencer Kim whatever families know each other? Why don't Summer or Liberty even know Travis when they live in the same house? Also, they're supposed to have a one-sided crush with Travis and he doesn't know about it. Even if they bothered to do this, that's not really an exciting storyline. Also, that kind of one-sided crush, although easy to achieve in The Sims 2, is not even possible in The Sims 4 since every relationship is mutual. The most recent Sims 4 expansion packs have put a tiny bit more effort into townie lore, but in conjunction with the prior problems discussed, it just feels like too little too late. Well, that does it for our top 10 reasons The Sims 3 is better than The Sims 4. What did you all think? Do you prefer The Sims 3 or The Sims 4? Or do you know any points I may have missed, or even a reason why The Sims 4 is a better game? Good luck. Let me know in the comments section down below. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give the video a like and don't forget to subscribe for some more retro-focused Sims content. And a special thanks goes out to my dedicated Simmers for sponsoring today's video. You guys are the best. Boom.